magazine to cover a seemingly ordinary 10,000-meter race in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I was amazed to discover that this race was anything but ordinary. Brian's run began in 1978 as a result of a tragic accident.
On August 26, 1978, I was getting ready. I remember that day very well. I was ready to, I really thought about quitting. But I went over and got dressed, got prepared for the game, for the scrimmage. The first team had gone through all of their plays, and it was time for the second string to go in. I went into, on the first play, I was playing left cornerback, and the fullback from McCaskey came through between the right guard, their right guard, and their right end, tight end, and I went and I tackled him, and it just felt like I was hanging in the air. I remember that they tried to take my helmet off. They were going to cut it off, and I kept saying, no, don't cut it. Just take the ear pads out and you can pull it off. And I don't remember them telling me that I had broken my neck.
It was a freak injury, a very freak injury. It occurs, but it occurs rarely.
Part of the spinal column that is most flexible is that attaches the head to the shoulders, the neck. And at the time of the injury, his neck was acutely flexed by virtue of a head-on collision, and that flexion dislocated and injured the bones of his neck to the point that the spinal cord inside those bones was injured. And the spinal cord is a strategic part of our electrical hookups to make muscles work below that level.
I finally had the nerve to ask the doctors if I would ever walk again. And the doctors said that with each passing week, the chances became less and less. And I cried after that.
I got through it because of Brian, because he called one night and we knew he had been paralyzed, and he said he had talked to the doctor and he had asked the doctor if he was ever going to walk again, and the doctor said no, and he asked the doctor to call his parents because he thought we would take it hard. So Brian was the one that got us through it.
He was in Jefferson for, I believe, 8 months, and I visited him 5 days a week, and some nights I stayed with him. And we had a conversation about that. Talked about he could have been dead, because 10 years before that, when you had an injury like that, you would have died. So I told him he had to move on with his life.
I was still going to be the best Brian that I could. I'd always had a work ethic as far as running, my sports. I had learned discipline, and my discipline went through my rehabilitation, so to speak. So I continued to fight to be the best person that I could be, both physically and spiritually.
When Brian's accident occurred, which was in August of 1978, the whole Westchester community was shocked at the event, and everyone respected the Bratcher family. Those of us who knew different members of the family felt particularly close to them. And there were a number of different efforts to show support and to raise money to help out the family. And one time, shortly after the accident, at a cross-country meet, a group of us were talking and saying what could we possibly do to be of help to Brian and his family, and we came up with the idea of holding a race. It was something none of us had ever done before, and so we started, and that was the beginning of Brian's Run, mainly to help Brian and show our support and love for him.
And then I remember seeing all the people, and it was just overwhelming. It was great. I saw a lot of people that I knew, people I didn't know. And I had tears in my eyes. It was very emotional to see all those people that came out to support me. I really felt that I shouldn't be the sole beneficiary. And as much as I enjoyed it, I thought there were other people in the world that could get some support, not just financial, but emotional support and psychological support.
At the first Brian's Run, we had a couple of events. We had the 10,000 meter race, but we also had a 1 mile race for children to participate. And there was one boy who came in absolutely last in the 1 mile event, but he was on crutches. He only had one leg. His name was Mark D'Amico. He had lost his leg in an accident. It was a lawnmower accident. But he finished the race, and then he walked over, and Brian, of course, couldn't shake hands. Mark was only 12 years old, and Mark went to shake hands and realized he couldn't, and he just took his head and laid it on Brian's chest. And I remember that so clearly.
Aboard! Go!
That's it. Since its inception over 20 years ago, Brian's Run has become a unique partnership between Westchester University, community organizations, corporate sponsors, student service organizations, dedicated volunteers, and runners who year after year achieve their personal goal while raising money to help people with disabilities. Over $500,000 has been raised to aid disabled persons from the community by providing communication devices for deaf people, making a home wheelchair accessible, outfitting a van with handicapped equipment, and sending children to therapeutic recreation camps.
Brian's Run is especially important to us as a family because I grew up with Brian. We were friends when we were little kids, and I've been supporting the event every year that I was able to, that we've lived in the area. And just believe it's a great community event, and we want to support everything that Brian does as he helps support other children.
My name is Bill Stahl. I come from Denver, Colorado every year for Brian's Run. I've been involved with this race since 1979, and first became involved because of the spirit of cooperation where Brian wanted to stage this race for somebody else. The spirit of Brian's Run has just been great. It's kept me coming back year after year. The people are just wonderful. They're all working for a great cause, and it's just wonderful to see this race continue as strong as it has over the years.
We attract the top runners that are not only American runners, but foreign runners from Kenya, Morocco, Algeria, Tanzania, Ireland, wherever, that are training in our area to come.
All right, we'll do the top 10 male finishers. These are cash awards. First place is $700. And the winner of today's race was Aurelio Handanga. He's from Angola, and he resides in Connecticut right now. Time was 29:40.
My name is Aurelio Miti. I'm from Angola, Africa. So I'm very happy to be here. This is the first time to win that race. This race is not very easy.
Okay, my name is Paul Mwangi. Originally, I'm from Kenya, but I now live in Nashville, New York. the race that help people with disabilities to have mobility, and I like coming back here every year because most of my friends are here, and it's a great race, and I like people here.
I'd like to see Brian's Run just continue to thrive, and I want to make sure that it runs and functions smoothly, and that the beneficiaries, the money is raised for beneficiaries, and that the community still gets a good first-class racing event. And I just enjoy coming out, and if for no other reason, it's fun to see Brian Bratcher here every year. He's an inspiration for a lot of us.
Being here at Brian's Run is it's an honor and a tribute to see all the athletes come out and be supportive of not only Brian but other athletes or other people in need, and it's just good to see people come out to support people. Brian and I have grown closer as we've gotten older. We understand one another a little bit better, and we're still brothers. We still call and joke with one another on the phone.
Expect to continue to support Brian's Run in this effort for years to come as our children grow up and they're able to run on their own. I hope that they'll wish to participate, and we look forward to keeping this as a family event for years.
Brian's Run is not just the story of how the outcome of one tragic event was turned into positive action that touched hundreds of other people. It's about neighbors helping neighbors. It's about recognizing people in need and pitching in to help. But most important is to show them that we care. Unlike the typical road race, where the emphasis is on winning and losing, the motivating forces behind Brian's Run are compassion, community, and giving. Brian Bratcher's story and the tradition of Brian's Run reach far beyond the town lines of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Brian has inspired people from all over to strive in ways they once thought impossible. I am legally blind, and Brian Bratcher inspired me to produce and direct this documentary.